guests from Paris, and then I have a guest here on the laptop. It's going to be a virtual interview, as we know, because of the restrictions of the COVID-19. I've done many shows with professors, with writers who were very active in the Syriac antiquity, in the Syriac history. I'm very proud and very thrilled to do this interview with one of the people that I really got very excited to know about their work, their researches. My guest is a PhD student from Paris, from France. His name is Francois Miran. He has written a book about the Syriac Bible, Le décor de la Bible Syriac de Paris, the illumination of Paris Syriac Bible. Very interesting subject, very, very interesting, very deep. We're going to go deeper in this subject during this program. But first of all, let me just welcome my guests. I started from Paris. Bonsoir, Francois.
Bonsoir. Hi, everybody. Shlomo.
Shane, je vous souhaite la bienvenue dans mon programme, mais nous allons parler en anglais. Welcome to my program, Francois.
Thank you very much.
Francois, let's start with you. Before we get into the book and your work, your researches, just to know out of curiosity that I'm sure the audience do feel the same and think the same about you. You're only 27. When did you start getting attracted and involved in the Syriac heritage, the Syriac work?
It started, I would say, in my own family, because I had the great chance to grow up in a wonderful family, very interested in literature, history, art history too, and music and so on. And I've grown up amongst scholars, just like my own parents. I've grown up amongst books, and I was amazed when I was a child by books. And I have been encouraged by my own parents, by my godmother, and by my whole family to make studies, to discover our culture, our history, our art through research, because it was sort of passion when I was a child. I think very curious and interested in everything. To study particularly art history.
Is this a kind of, first of all, something that has to do with Christian faith? Because everybody knows in the world that if we started from the language that we know, that Syriac Aramaic is the language that Jesus has spoken.
That's a good question. My family was not a particularly Christian family, but at the same time, I was, how can I say that? My family was not a Christian family, but I discovered Christian faith through art history, and thanks to my parents too. I decided to be myself a Christian later. And for me, yes, I have to say that the Christian faith is something really important and very parallel to my research, because I'm studying the art history of the Eastern Christianity, and particularly the Syriac Christianity. And as you said, it's one of the most ancient churches in the world. It's the language which was spoken by Christ, but also by, I think, by the Lord himself when talking to Abraham, when addressing the Virgin Mary, for example. And so my own faith is constructed, is strengthened, I don't know, by my research.
Yes. Do you agree with me that this language has a spiritual side to that? When you hear it, when you listen to it, you get this something that urges you to learn more, because I have read that you learned this, you wanted to learn this in order to be able to understand more about this heritage, and also to be able to do, let's say, better researches, better writing for your book, and certainly in the future works too.
Yes, obviously, because I studied art history in Paris when I was younger, and then I specialized in early Christian and Byzantine art. Their studies contributed largely to increase my interest for the art of Eastern Christianity. But, as you said, my first contact with Syriac Christianity dates back to the first years of my study, but it took me some years to understand that it was necessary to learn Syriac language to better understand this culture. And what I find particularly interesting in Syriac is the musicality of the language, which is really poetic, peaceful, and musical.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk more about this this aspect of the language and of the literature, the faith, the art, three things that are linked to this antique works. Let's go back to your book. To create a certain level of credibility for people, especially when someone is writing something to be a source of knowledge for generations to come. You need certain aspects, you need feedback, you need a lot of things to create this credibility, this source of knowledge. Where did you get that?
I studied in a great art history school in Paris, which name is École du Louvre, the school in the Musée du Louvre. And my first contact with Syriac Christianity dates back to the first year of my studies there, when a lesson has been devoted to the most ancient Christian manuscripts, and amongst them there was a Syriac one. After that, I studied there for 3 years. After that, I wrote a master's degree, still in Paris, at École Pratique des Hautes Études, means the High School for Practical Studies, if we want to translate. And my thesis consisted in the study of an illuminated Syriac manuscript produced at the end of antiquity. It was a great surprise for me, because I would say I didn't have the project to work particularly on Syriac. But it has been proposed to me by my teacher, and I found it was a great idea, because it was a mostly unknown culture amongst art historians. And so it took me 2 years, wrote my master thesis, dedicated to the manuscript you've told about, now kept in Paris, so the Paris Syriac Bible.
Yes. Yeah, so this was the dissertation of your master degree, but you're still a student of PhD, right?
Yes.
You're doing your PhD studies right now. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll get back to you, but let me also introduce my other guest, Jean Zambil. Welcome, Mr. John. جان رح أسألك بالعربي. أهلا وسهلا فيك، وأنا بشكر جان. كان جان يعني هو صاحب الفكرة في إعداد وتنسيق هي الحلقة مع شخصية رائعة مثل اللي شايفينها اليوم. جان، أنا رح خليك أنت تحكي عن فرانسوا، كيف تعرفت عليه وشو الشيء المهم عند فرانسوا اللي عم نقدمه نحن اليوم.
بتحبي نحكي بالعربي ولا
بالعربي
بالانجليزي؟
شوي، بدنا نحكي بالعربي شوي. إيه.
اول شيء شلومو للكل، لكل الحبايب والمشاهدين الكرام. انا علاقتي بفرانسوا صار لها حوالي تقريبا اكثر من سنه، وتعرفت عليه من خلال خيي ميشيل بالقدس لما اجى زارنا في دير مار مرقس، وهنيك قدرنا نتعرف على بعض. انه هو عم بدرس اللغه السريانيه والاشياء المانuscript السريانيه، وهذا اثار اهتمامي، والاعمال اللي كان يسويها كنت اتابعها مع اخي ميشيل. واليوم نتج عنا عمل كبير بالنسبه له، عمل رائع، وهو ترجمه هذا الكتاب القديم جدا اللي بيرجع قبل القرن السادس. واحنا اليوم الكنيسه السريانيه الاراميه الارثوذكسيه اليوم تفتقد لهذه الكتب الضائعه واللي تناثرت من قبل الحروب المتتاليه على المنطقه، على منطقتنا بالشرق الاوسط. ف اثار اهتمام كثير انه هذا كتاب كثير مهم بالنسبه لنا، وهو عائد اليوم. احنا بنشكر الله اللي اجى بايدين ناس فرنسيين حافظوا عليه، حطوه بالمتحف، وكان في له اثار ثانيه. كان يعني خلى ناس مثل فرانسوا ومثل ناس ثانيه، بعرفش هو فرانسوا اول واحد ترجم هذا الكتاب، وبس اكيد يعني بجوز اذا بندور بين الشعب الفرنسي بنلاقي ناس، لانه هذول الناس بحبوا الكولتور، بحبوا الاشياء الثقافيه، شعب عنده نظره اكبر من نظرتنا احنا، فحافظوا على هذا التراث السرياني. وهذا اللي اثار اهتمامي انه اقدر اتابع الموضوع. وقتها لما قدمت لك اياه كان عندي قبول رائع جدا بالنسبه لهذا. هاي دائما شكر لك دائما معي للاهتمامات الحلوه هاي اللي دائما بتنور العالم فيها من خلال سوريوسات.
نعم. Can we say the same in English, because I want Francois to understand. Francois, we were talking about you, by the way. So, John, we were talking, I was asking you about your relationship with Francois. How did it start?
Well, we met, me and Francois, when we were in Jerusalem in the St. Mark's convent. And he was with my brother Michel, and he's a good friend of my brother Michel. So we got to know each other there, and this is how it started with his studies and his interest in the Syriac language.
Yes.
So.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So there, I got to know that he is translating many manuscripts also. He studied a lot about the manuscripts and also the old language, the Syriac language, and he is preparing something. But lately my brother Michel told me that he made the book and the book is finished and now it's on sale for many people. And it was an excellent work for us, because this book was translated in French to the French. And this is what gave Francois like a big medal for his country to have done something like that, and to have accomplished a very big subject. And especially, he's not Syriac, he's French. So it took him so much of his time to translate this book. And to translate this book and understand it very well, he studied the Syriac language. And he studied, of course, the Ksobonoyo, what we call it, which is the written...
the official Syriac.
So that he can understand the meanings of this Bible and give it to the French people as a cultural thing from our Syriac heritage.
Yeah.
So this attracted me very much to this subject, and I wanted to share this with all the Syriac people. Understand how much is this culture full of richness and full of things that we never knew from before. Of course, studies about the Syriac people and the Syriac culture and Syriac language, they understand how much It is rich of things that we have missed during all these years. So this is why I wanted to have Mr. Francois on our screen and explain all these beautiful matters that he has interpreted from this book, the Syriac book, to the French people.
Yeah.
If you allow me, Maya, to introduce him in French.
Yeah, do that, please.
Permettez-moi d'abord de vous souhaiter la bienvenue sur notre chaîne Syriac. Nous sommes très fiers de vous avoir aujourd'hui sur l'écran Syriac et de partager avec nous votre précieux travail. Nous sommes également fiers qu'une personne comme vous, qui n'a jamais connu une langue aussi ancienne, qui a été parlée par Jésus-Christ, et aussi toutes les saintes de première église, je crois, syriaque de pays mésopotamiens, et a passé tant des années de sa jeunesse à étudier cette langue et de nous donner un livre fructueux daté du IVe siècle et que nous avons perdu pendant toutes les guerres. Votre travail pour nous, pour ce livre, il nous a donné, le peuple syriaque, un grand témoignage. Et il a ouvert un port d'échange culturel, peut-être ecclésiastique, mais aussi connecté à une civilisation riche qui s'est répandue dans le monde entier et a beaucoup ajouté dans le domaine de médecine, de la culture et de l'astronomie et des autres, bien des autres aussi. Vous avez ouvert une nouvelle fenêtre. Je donne un nom franco-syriac au peuple français et syriaque de la diaspora. Le travail est très précieux pour nous. Et le travail est très précieux pour notre peuple. Il a ajouté aux deux pays, aux deux peuples, on peut dire, une meilleure compréhension entre les relations franco-syriaques. Le savant allemand Sébastien Brock, je viens de dire maintenant quelque chose, le savant allemand Sébastien Brock, il a écrit des livres sur notre pays qui ont permis une meilleure compréhension entre notre peuple et le peuple allemand. Mais maintenant, vous êtes le premier que nous savons qui a ajouté à la France un grand médaille pour votre travail. Et tout le monde devrait être très fier d'un jeune homme, François, français, comme vous, qui a passé toutes ces années d'études et il a ajouté quelque chose de précieux pour l'histoire de ce pays, la France. Chapeau bas et un grand merci de tout le peuple syriaque et c'est un grand témoignage que vous avez ajouté pour nous. Grand merci.
Merci. So, Francois, I think you're very excited about all these beautiful words that Jean was talking with about you.
Believe me, I said it from my heart. This is from my heart.
Yeah, and he deserves this. Francois, let's go back to the book, and then we're going to talk about the travels you did. One of the trips, it was like John was mentioning, it was to Jerusalem, to our monastery there, to get more information and more feedback to the book. About your book, what do you think the main purpose of the book is?
The main purpose of my book, as you said, at the end of my master's degree, 2016, the French Society for Syriac Studies, which is a very deeply involved society, scientific society, specialized for Syriac studies, proposed me to publish my master thesis, this work I had written, in order to give a broader visibility to the so-called Paris Syriac Bible. Because this manuscript has been studied some years ago by several scholars, but it actually remains somewhat unknown amongst art historians. In spite of its importance for our understanding of Christian book illumination during the late antiquity and our understanding of Syriac Christian culture too. The first goal of my work when writing this book was to describe and to analyze the pictures, the images contained in the manuscript, which are also called miniatures. But, as you underlined, I noticed quickly that this manuscript doesn't consist only in its illustrations, but also in the relationship between images and text.
Yeah.
So, for a better understanding of the Syriac biblical text, that was essential to my study. I began at the same time to study the Syriac language, which was necessary to understand both scriptures and Syriac culture.
So, Francois, if I interrupt you there and trying to understand for me and for the audience about the Syriac Bible of Paris, you're talking about the decorations and you're talking about, let's say, describing, maybe interpreting them, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, all right. And then you talk also about the relationship between the French scholars and this heritage, this the Syriac history and the Syriac faith and art, literature, whatever you call it. What is the link? How could you find this link?
I would say that my work benefited from the expertise of many other scholars. In Syriac language, for example, but in history, in art history, in history of Christianity, for example. And 1 century before, there were already French scholars interested in Syriac art history, and particularly l'Abbé Jules Leroy. He was a priest, he was a monk, very involved in the discovery and the preservation of Syriac heritage. And he used to travel to the Middle East, particularly to Turkey, Iraq, Syria, Egypt, to find out old Syriac manuscripts, to study them, and to make us aware about their value. And l'Abbé Leroy wrote a very important catalogue of Syriac illuminated manuscripts. That's why I consider him as a model, as a father, I could say. You understand?
Yes, yes.
And my work wants to go further, to go in depth into this study. And that's why I traveled to Jerusalem, because I know that there were a very important and old Syriac manuscript kept there. I traveled to Jerusalem, where I met Abuna Shemron in the Montmartre convent, and then Michel Zambil, John, and so on. Because at the same time that I worked, I realized that it was really important to make links, to get in touch with Syriac Christians, Syriac people. And French scholars involved in Syriac studies developed such very close relationship with Syriac people. And until today, we try to keep this relationship in our French Society for Syriac Studies. It's really important. We work together with people from the different Syriac-speaking churches in the Middle East and in the diaspora. That's the only way for us to be not only scholars and historians, but also to understand a living heritage.
Yes. Do you believe that this book is going to be influencing for the French society?
That's a very good question. The purpose of this book is to celebrate the richness and the diversity of Syriac art. I hope to incite French people to become aware of the outstanding collections of manuscripts kept in the French National Library. That's the first goal. Because these collections testify about the close relationships I was talking about between French scholars and Eastern Christian communities for centuries. At the same time, I will be glad that this book could be like a bridge between French people and Syriac diaspora in France. We have several parishes around Paris, from the Syriac Orthodox Church, from the Chaldean Church, for example, for the Maronite Church too. And I hope that this book will incite French people to discover what Syriac Christianity is, in what it consists.
Yeah. You say, I'm going to quote you, you say this: one of the most interesting characteristics of the Paris Syriac Bible is the numerous links they share with the Syriac spiritual tradition. Some of the images actually show obvious analogies with Saint Ephraim's hymns of nativity, crucifixion, or resurrection. So does this mean that the Syriac antique writers or believers, whatever, they were using art in order to express faith, Christian faith?
I think yes, obviously. As you may know, the manuscript may have consisted originally about 40 miniatures, 40 images.
Yes.
Even if only 24 remain today.
Remains today, right? Yeah.
These miniatures are dispersed throughout the manuscript. They underline the beginning and the end of each biblical book. They mostly illustrate the Old Testament.
But also fragments from the New Testament, right?
Yes. There is and it could be a complex question to understand why Christian artists choose to illustrate the Old Testament. And that was for me a great question, a very important question. When studying the manuscript, I discovered that there were links, relationship between the Old and the New Testament. And there's bridges between the two testaments are together contained in the miniatures, but also in Syriac poetry. That's why I had to become more familiar with this Syriac poetry, and particularly with Saint Ephraim's hymns, the Madrashe, which I had to learn too, because they were written in Syriac, but very well translated into French. And Saint Ephraim, what does he do? He celebrates the great events of the Old Testament, of the biblical history, and he finds prefigurations of Christ, of his birth, passion, death, and resurrection in every event of the Old Testament. And I noticed that some images of the manuscript of the Paris Syriac Bible were making such links between the different parts of the Bible. I could give you an interesting example.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the book of Numbers, there is a great image, a great picture depicting Aaron when he was elected by God to become the great priest,
Yeah.
and to lead the Israel's tribes. And so the painter depicted Aaron holding an almond tree stick which is blossoming.
Yeah.
And this blossoming of the almond tree stick is interpreted by Saint Ephraim as an allegory of the birth of Christ, because the dry stick blossomed and bears fruits, and so did the Virgin Mary. But at the same time, Saint Ephraim compares this episode to the resurrection of Christ, because the almond tree wood was dead and then came to the life, to a new life. There are so many examples, so many parallels between Saint Ephraim's hymns and the work of the painters in this manuscript. I could give you other examples.
Yes.
Just excuse me, I have to...
Of course, yes. I'll go... during this, you can prepare this. I'm going to go back to John. John, what do you think when you hear things like this? I mean, this is incredibly beautiful. What do you think?
I honestly want to tell you something. I can understand him pretty well, because I study a lot the Bible, and I can understand that the Old Testament is the beginning of the New Testament. Let me explain how. All the prophets, when they have spoken about Jesus Christ, it's in Ezekiel, in Isaias, or Ezekiel, or many of the prophets. And Jesus said, when he came on earth, he said, I did not come to abort the Old Testament. I came to continue. What does this mean? This means that he wanted to let us understand that all the prophets, they spoke about him. And his coming to the world is the confirmation of their prophecies in the world. So that's why now I can understand him, what he is trying to declare to us, because these are biblical studies that should be studied very well, and spiritually you have to be involved with them spiritually, because all the works of the saints has been done in a spiritual way. And to discover these things, you cannot be a normal person, like go to church only, but you have to study the Bible, study the Old Testament, study the New Testament, and make a connection between the Old Testament and the New Testament. What Francois was trying to say, that Saint Ephraim, when he wrote all the hymns, his hymns, he was connecting, he was explaining also why did they say like this, what happened when these prophecies were done at that time, what did they mean, and what do they refer to. So this connection has a lot of, with the biblical studies that has been done during the saints' life. The saints has done a lot of work that we don't know. Honestly, I have studied many saints, and I have studied about what is the relation. So I can understand Francois with his meaning when he makes these small miniatures to show what they have meant with their explanation about the Old Testament.
Francois, what I really love about the work that you have done, it's not only the depth of the language and the faith behind the language. You talk a lot about the technique. You talk about the image. You talk about the colors. This is precious for me. You say about you're talking about the technical features and about the scientific analysis of the colors, how they were carried out for the first time in 2019 and 2018 and 2019 with the courtesy of the France National Library. The results attest the use of the precious and expensive substances of the colors, the blue, the red, the gold, which refers to the wealth that the Syriac people at that time must have been having. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. And I find it particularly interesting because for centuries the scholars had considered that the Syriac people, the Syriac workshops, were unable to produce precious manuscripts, to produce high-quality illuminated books. It was said that they had a limited interest in images, but our work, it was a common work, I have to say, because I did not work alone when making this chemical analysis of the book. I was helped by chemists, by anthropologists from Italy. We discovered use of very expensive, very costly substances, materials. It's a proof, a very interesting testimony about the wealth of Syriac workshops, Syriac artists. For example, a very interesting example is the use of ultramarine blue, which was produced from lapis lazuli, l'Azuardo in Syriac, which is a very costly blue stone from Afghanistan. At the same time, we discovered the use of cinnabar red, which is a very deep and vigorous red color. Maybe it came from the Balkans, we don't know. It's a proof that the Syriac-speaking communities were in close relationship with other regions of the Mediterranean world. It has been said that Syriac Christians, were isolated. It was totally wrong, and now we know it, because the use of such materials reflect the importance of the community involved in the command and the realization of the manuscripts. It also underlines the Syriac world's centrality at an important commercial crossroads in Mesopotamia. And one of the most emblematic discoveries we made is the use of gold powder, and to make the miniatures more bright, luminous. For years it was said that it was not the case, that the workshop did not use any trace of gold. Now we have proof. We have very interesting proof of the wealth of the workshop.
Francois, you learned Syriac, right? You can read it. The text that we're seeing now on the screen, we're seeing those pictures from the book, icons, and the text. This is all Syriac. You can read that language?
Yes. As I said, I began to study Syriac for 3 years at the university. I'm still learning, as you know, because it's a very complex language. Complex, but interesting at the same time. I learned it with some difficulties.
But I understand that. I understand. It's not easy.
I have to say that calligraphy, handwriting, support me. It has been a support for me, as it helped me to learn and to appreciate Syriac language. As I said, I was very interested in books, in language, in history, but at the same time in drawing. And Syriac writing is just like drawing. Some years ago, I was younger, I had the great opportunity to take part to a training course which was given by a Chaldean calligrapher, Bernam Kerio. He's dead now. May his glory be eternal. And I remember that the Syriac Orthodox Bishop Morporikarpos from the Netherlands, he took this training course too. And there I discovered Syriac handwriting, and I found it incredible. And now, when I'm trying to read and to translate some parts of manuscripts, I used to write, I used to copy what I'm reading to better understand.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Are you trying to imitate those lines? Because it's, even for me, I'm Syriac, but even for me, it feels like drawing, not writing.
Yes. Yes. I try to imitate the different Syriac writings that I can find, handwritings that I can observe in manuscripts. And yes.
Do you have any text, even if it's only 1-2 lines, that you can read it for us in Syriac?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Never mind. I'm going to do another interview with you, so I'm going to give you a time to do this homework. Francois, do you think that this journey of researches that has been very unique and very important for us and also for a lot of historians, do you think that this has become a turning point in your life and career?
In my life, yes, sure. Because to study the manuscript, but to write a book about it, it has been I was very enthusiastic. It needed patience, perseverance, but I would say indulgence towards myself, because I discovered that perfection does not exist.
No.
Even if I'm very demanding about scientific research. And so I became aware of all the imperfections of our work, and at the same time of the importance to work together, to work in relationship with other scholars in France and in the whole world. Because to pass knowledge on to somebody, to other people, to other generations, requires consciousness, requires humility too, because everybody can make errors. And I consider my work as a common work, because there are so many people who helped me to make it better. Yes. I hope it will be of great use for a next generation of scholars, of students, and so on, of Syriac Christians, hopefully. But at the same time, yes, it's a very important step in my life.
During these studies, you must have learned a lot about the characteristics of the Syriac Oriental faith, the Syriac Oriental way of writing, the antiques. I'm talking now about different levels, spiritual, artistic, scientific. Can you describe it now? What did you discover?
First, at artistic level, I discovered that the Syriac artists were very conscious, very aware of their own heritage. The script that I studied dates back to the 6th century, so it's one of the most ancient Syriac manuscripts that are preserved today, and it's the most ancient Bible containing the Old and New Testament together.
Yes.
I discovered that the Syriac artists were very aware of their own heritage because they were using artistical language that was common to all the different regions of the Middle East at this time, which is really interesting because it proves that Syriac Christianity was connected to all other provinces, to all other areas of the Ottoman Empire. From a spiritual point of view, I discovered first one of the most ancient translations of the Bible from the Hebrew, which is the Syriac one, called Peshitta, the common version. I discovered the incredibly rich collection of liturgical and poetical texts from Saint Ephraim, Saint Jake, I think Yaqub, of Sarug, Narsai, and so on, which I didn't know before this. And for me, as a scholar, but as a Christian at the same time, I discovered the incredible diversity and richness of Oriental Christianity. I would say that it was a very deep discovery for me, because I indirectly got in touch with very ancient people.
Yes.
When studying the manuscript, for example, I got in touch with the men who wrote it.
Yes.
Because sometimes in the margins they were writing something about themselves.
Yeah.
And once I can remember, I found a note written in Arabic. This note was asking God to bless the man who will write and study the manuscript. I was very impressed, deeply impressed, because the man who was studying and reading the manuscript, it was me. Centuries later.
That's great.
Very good.
Yeah. I remembered something through your speech now, Francois, that those icons and this illustration of the faith, of the Syriac faith, is still in many places geographically in the world, like in the Wall of China, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in Afghanistan. And you can help me on that, John, right? We do have a lot still. And I think that Francois knows about it too, don't you?
You know, I just want to, I'm so amazed when he's speaking about our language and about the richness of our language. We know as Syriac people, like he said, we are ancient, but we are new also. We are the generation of the old new people that lived from 2,000 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah.
Until now, we are still connecting this language with our people, and we are renewing this language in the best we can.
Yeah.
Don't forget that we have translated a lot of books from Greek, because at that time Greek was the best language spoken in the area, and it's only the Syriac people who could speak Greek in a perfect way, and they have translated so many things from Greek to Arabic also. They could manage in speaking so many languages. The richness is behind all this is the understanding of the language first, which you are trying to master now, so that you can understand the real meaning of this, and giving us these important issues that open our mind for such a rich language and for such a rich culture that have remained over 2,000 years. And now we are speaking about the miniatures and the drawings that has been done in a very high quality way that has been preserved for 2,000 years, which means that we are maybe better than the pharaohs that has done the mummies, but we have a living Bible with a living miniatures that could live not only until now, thanks to the people that are trying to maintain all these beautiful miniatures that has been preserved.
Yes.
Until so that's why it's when you are speaking, it's like you're putting inside me and Maya some beautiful words to let us live this kind of work that you are being doing. And of course, we have read many others that have written in other languages. We're trying to follow up, but you know there are so many books in the world. And something I would like to share with you, Francois, that in the Jerusalem library was a very rich library from from the beginning of the Christianity when it was discovered. You know, we know that Christianity was under the ground for 300 years, and then it appeared. Christianity did not come in such a beautiful way. It has suffered a lot. It has suffered a lot. And all our places in Midyat, in Tor Abdin, in all these areas, Mardin, shows us that people were under the ground writing all these miniatures, writing the Bibles, writing the manuscripts, and so on. And in Jerusalem, I had the honor when Sayyidina Sewarios was there. We tried to, and maybe Sayyidina also Jijawi, they had the manuscripts that goes back to 1100. 1100. Now, we tried to save these manuscripts because, you know, sometimes, you know, it can be torn. But we have, you understand that some of the animals, they can eat
some damages sometimes, yes.
Damages to the books. So what we have done in the Jerusalem library, we have done something called Fume Migration, which means that you put the gas inside. You close all the chambers, we put all the books, and we open them, and we spray the gas. And of course, the one who does this has to have a mask to preserve them. Yes. This is what we could do to preserve the rest of the manuscripts that we still are holding in Jerusalem. They are in the Jerusalem library now. Of course, they are in a hidden place because it's a very valuable manuscripts that we have, or that we are keeping there. So we can understand me and Maya. When you speak, I can see Maya's face, how she is very happy about speaking about these miniature, the quality, and the way they have maintained them for 2,000 years now. Imagine, this is the great thing that you are speaking about, that we had such a rich culture, or like I said in French, we have such a rich culture. We have not only in the Bible, but we have done a lot of things with medicine. We have done a lot of things with astronomy. We have done a lot of things of many other things that they have done in the old. But now you have made it living in us, me and Maya. So we are very happy to hear about this richness that you are speaking about for these manuscripts.
I agree. I share the same words and the same feeling with John. Francois, we are descendants of those ancient people, great people that left this great, amazing heritage, not only for us, but to all humanity. Do you think that you are a successor of this? Because I do.
I believe too.
In a way, yes, I try to be.
Great, because you are the one. We're so proud of you that somebody like you, Francois, is holding this, is carrying this heritage and trying to do something to put it under the spotlight, to give it to people. And you're still working on this. That's not the end, right?
That's not the end. As you said, I'm still writing my PhD, so I have much to discover about the Syriac manuscript, Syriac culture during antiquity, during the Middle Ages, in very different historical contexts. I have deep interest in the preservation and the valuation of the Syriac artistic and spiritual tradition too.
So, Francois, you're French, you live in Paris. Paris is the place of art. It's the capital of art and beauty. And then when we study the Syriac ancient manuscripts, and we see all these unique icons with these colors and the golden powder and the advanced experience of expressing faith, expressing even the thoughts, spirituality. How do you feel about it? How do you find the link between these two images?
As you said, the so-called Paris Syriac Bible was acquired by France, by the French National Library at the beginning of the last century, beginning of the 20th century, by a Syriac bishop from the Chaldean community in Kurdistan, so in nowadays Turkey, whose name was Mor Ad-Daisher. And he was deeply involved in scholarship. He known French, he wrote in French, he translated many texts from Syriac to French and to Arabic and so on. That the acquisition of this incredible manuscript and its transfer from Turkey to France took place in a complex and confusing circumstances at the of Seyfo. And at this time, the pressures of the Ottoman Empire against Syriac communities of Mesopotamia turned into a massacre. And Archbishop Adai understood, before us, he understood the great value of the ancient Syriac manuscripts that were kept in his own library. But he was aware at the same time of his own pastoral responsibilities. And on account of the great poverty of his community, he decided to sell part of the manuscripts in order to financially support the Christian Syriac villages around his diocese. And that's a very important link between art in the French culture and Syriac Christianity, because he got in touch with the French director of the manuscripts department in the French National Library. They met at the beginning of the 20th century, and Mor Adai decided to entrust around 12 precious manuscripts to French National Library, because he considered that Paris was the best place to keep safe the precious Syriac manuscripts. And that's why the Paris Syriac Bible is now known as Paris Syriac Bible. Just after that, the Chaldean community was attacked by the Turks. A fire raged in the archbishopric, and the remaining books of the library were totally destroyed. And shortly after, Archbishop Mor Adai was captured and murdered. So it was he saved the manuscripts. And our role today in France, because we are aware of the importance of art, and because in Paris, we have to continue his work on his memory. That's why we are so involved in the digitization of the manuscripts. For example, the Syriac Bible is available online for consultation. It has been digitized.
That's great. So it's available to anybody who is interested in knowing about it and even getting it, right?
Yes, of course. And it's very important because anyone who wants to discover this heritage today, anyone an interest for art and for spirituality, for Eastern Christianity, you just have to go on the internet and to look for the Syriac Bible. So it's really important, and it's our role as French scholars to go further, to go in depth in the project of preservation and valorization of Syriac heritage.
Yes. Now, when I'm listening to Francois, Jean, the question is for you. When we listen to Francois, he's talking about the preservation of the antique works of history. How important is that? And we do feel a lot of gratitude to France, for example, or other museums that are preserving our heritage until now.
Honestly, when I was listening to him, I was trying to pinpoint something. Now, because I've been in Paris in the Louvre with many groups that we have been inside. So when you are inside the Mesopotamian area, you feel this and at the same time you are in France, the mother of culture and the mother of art, and you know, France is Paris is the city of art and culture. So when you are there, you feel that you are, this is me, and at the same time you are in a modern life that is totally different from what we have lived in the past. So this is how you find yourself. You are a very rich person. You are a very rich culture. You are a descendant of all these big people that has done all this culture and all this kind of richness in different ways, in many different aspects.
Yes.
So this is why when Francois speaks about these manuscripts and the importance and the richness of these manuscripts, and even scholars in many universities, they study these miniatures about the quality of the painting and the quality of the writing and the calligraphy and all these things. It makes me feel so proud of my ancestors that has done all these beautiful writings and beautiful manuscripts that has made us feel very proud in the modern times, because now we have missed all these books. All these books were diminished from the area because of the wars, because of the continuous wars that has never stopped until now, because of the radicals that are found in these areas, and which did not let us live the life we wanted to live in the modern time. So I can understand how rich this culture is, how rich this civilization has been at that time, and imagine they have devoted all their life for writing the Bible, for writing the hymns, for writing with the best things that they have. Not like now. We are not engaged in these things.
No. Especially the youth. We're talking about the youth. They're not engaged.
I can say that Francois is an icon now for all these youth people that are interested in the culture.
He's a role model.
You are an icon for all these young people that are interested in the old languages, or in Semitic languages, or whatever language it is. But to be a young person that has
it's taken on his shoulder this kind of hard work.
The big work on your shoulder. You give you a big medal for that, Francois. I mean, at least what we are doing for you, Maya is doing for you now in the TV, is a little thing that we can offer you to show the people how big of a work you have done, and how rich is our culture through your work and through your translation for this important old book.
Yeah, definitely. I have no words to express how thrilled I am, especially I'm interviewing something who is only 27 after interviewing Sir Sebastian Brock. So, Francois.
What I'm trying to pinpoint, that the translation of these books in our life, maybe this is something for our people to start looking for that, because we are in Sweden. Maybe some people are doing, I know very well that Dr. Asad Sauma has done a lot of translation from the old books to Arabic and to maybe to other English versions. But this is the importance that now all the world are going back to the roots of the Syriac people, and to understand what is this richness that they have had before, and how did they preserve it up till now. And this now we have Francois as an icon in France, and to be someone to be an inspiration or mentor for all these people, to give them a power to study and to be very powerful in the researches in many different aspects of the Syriac civilization.
Yes, Francois, you have a lot to say. Go ahead.
Yes, if I may add something. Of course, my work tries to celebrate the richness and diversity of Syriac culture in order to give Syriac Christians, and particularly to the Syriac youth, a way of rediscovering your own faith and culture, which are under pressure today.
Wow. Wow.
So our job, because you quoted Sir Sebastian Brock, which is a very important scholar for me. Our job is to work scientifically on your culture, on your religious heritage. And your role as Syriac Christians is to remember the importance of your culture and to discover it. Because what I discovered myself during my research is that you are members of one of the most ancient churches in the world. Yeah. You are praying in the same language that Christ did.
Yes.
You are praying in the same language that the Lord spoke to Abraham, in the same language that the angel Gabriel addressed the Virgin Mary. So together we have to keep this heritage alive, scientifically and faithfully at the same time.
You know, what I can say now that in the name of any Syriac person who is listening and watching you now, Francois, I can salute you and welcome you to the Syriac family all over the world, because you have done a phenomenal job, and this is a fundamental source of knowledge. And as you say, I like the word that you are using, celebrating. You say, I celebrate this heritage. You celebrate the richness of this heritage. I really love this word. So if you have anything more to say, if you have anything now, because we're running out of time for the program, and I'm certainly going to follow your work constantly.
Paris Syriac Bible we are talking about, and I dedicated my work to, is a Bible containing most part of the Old Testament and some fragments from the New Testament, following the Peshito version, the common Syriac version. And it's written in a very elegant calligraphy called Estrangelo. So it was originally intended for a liturgical reading, and because the beginning of some biblical readings are written in red in the text, in order to show to the deacon or to the priest which chapter he had to read during the divine services, like Ramsho, the Vespers, Safaro, Matins, or Korbono, the Eucharist. The exact place where it was realized remains a mystery for us. But we know that it was produced in northern Mesopotamia. This geographical area including Mardin, Nusaybin, or Mosul, for example, and Tur Abdin, or Shur. We know that it had a complex journey through the Near East before coming to Paris. And we don't know exactly to which community it belonged at the beginning. We only know that it has been the property of the Chaldean Church during the Middle Ages, but it's a so ancient and so interesting, typically Syriac manuscript, particularly through its images. Their iconographic or technical features are so particular, but I would say that it's a Syriac manuscript, which is common to all the Syriac-speaking Christians. And what is really important is that this manuscript was illustrated with miniatures depicting the Old and the New Testament. Only few illuminated manuscripts are preserved from a so ancient period. And by comparison of the handwriting of this manuscript, we can assume that it has been written and adorned during the 6th century. it signifies that the Paris Syriac Bible is to this day the oldest illustrated Bible in the whole world. And that's why it's so important for us.
Wow, great. That's great. At the end of this program, I have a lot to thank you about. Francois, you have done, as we said, a great job, and we're going to continue talking more about any future plans for you. First, let me thank also Jean Zambil. Thank you, John, so much for presenting to me Francois, and thank you so much for being interested in following any new steps that have been taken to put our culture and heritage under the light. Thank you so much, John.
It's always my pleasure to follow up everything, anything about our culture and present it to our people that deserve this, because we have missed a lot during the wars and we have lost a lot of heritage and civilization that we didn't know about, but now it's showing up again. Thanks to Francois and many like Francois who are putting a lot of work from their time, from their life, to do something like this, and we should encourage Francois, and every single diocese in the world, in the diaspora, should encourage him in buying his book, either contacting him or contacting you, so that we can, if they like it on the internet, they can load it on the internet. So it's a kind of greatness to him, to help him continue his researches in the Syriac culture and the Syriac books that we have. We don't know where they are until now.
Yeah.
We know that it's in the Vatican, maybe some of them in the Vatican library, we can buy them, and but we have also in our churches, in our diocese outside in the Middle East or in Europe, but nobody is reading and nobody is trying to explain these things. And that's why we have arranged this meeting for Francois, to tell him thank you, Francois, un grand chapeau bas, et un grand merci pour tout ce travail de providence. C'était un formidable, un travail précieux et formidable.
Mais il me reste à remercier très chaleureusement Maya Mourad pour son accueil, à remercier également pour leur professionnalisme tous ceux qui ont permis cette émission, remercier Jean Zambil, bien sûr, qui m'a mis en contact avec Suriolosat, et puis remercier Michel Zambil qui est à Jérusalem et qui est mon cher ami grâce à qui cette émission a pu avoir lieu. Remercier aussi, bien sûr, tous les membres de la Société d'études syriaques qui, à travers le monde, contribuent à valoriser cette culture, et tous ceux qui nous écoutent et qui, j'espère, vont en retirer un intérêt renouvelé pour l'étude de leur propre culture ou d'une culture qui leur est encore méconnue. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, François Pacha Miran. Je voudrais vous remercier pour votre participation avec moi dans mon programme et vous souhaite beaucoup de succès dans vos importantes recherches. So we see you next time, to all our audience in the world, and once again thank you so much for my guests and for the viewers. See you next time. Fushum Bashlomo.
Uxuyo dusriyote biloyo, muyomo dushu to sayde, bishatu datlu thutmoni, hul adyoma, itish mushtayde, unni shayde, uri shoyo, tchodem, uam usriyo banafrawotho, danabahotho, ubigoluthoyo. Maltamle hayadle asriyo